everybody. This is Michael Adler with Didn't That Hurt the Podcast, episode 4. I'm clean out of the ICU, which is why I didn't put out an episode last week. I'm all better now, feeling a little better. I have a co-host for the moment.
Yeah.
This is Parker, my son. Say hi.
Hi.
He's going to help me finish up this intro really quick. I don't really have much to say this week. Just this is the second half of the Mitch Reitman talk. It was pretty cool. If you want to check out any shows, there's a calendar on www.dth004.com where you can keep up to date on stuff. If there's any shows missing from that, send me a message on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. That's it. Don't really feel like talking because my knee is bashed up and it sucks. But I'm alive. I'm home. I'm on the meds. Life rules. And that's it. Enjoy the podcast. Thanks.
It's the next one is Monster Squad, who I'm not familiar with.
Great drummer.
Yeah?
If you didn't know. Okay, so this is a street punk band. When I was going to shows, when I first started out, I didn't necessarily know what street punk was, but I dove into it pretty hard. I never had like a super colorful, like charged, fucking crazy studs all over my jacket.
Yeah.
I was more tasteful, I guess, but I don't know. I'm just kidding. But this band, I saw them at the Miramar, and again, absolutely blown away by their drummer. Talked to him outside, and at that point I was like, dude, I just want to tour. I want to be in a band that plays elsewhere. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how old I was, but this is a prime example of what street punk is. So if you listen to the Casualties and you like them, listen to this, because this is fucking incredible. And they just released a new record, which is insane, because I never thought they would ever do that. You know what I mean? It's like one of those bands where you're like, their old records are great.
Yeah.
And they just stopped. I don't know what it was.
When is this record?
Strength Through Pain, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it's just a super angry, mean sounding record, and it's not like a mean hardcore record, it's street punk. It's its own entity,
Yeah. It's 2004.
This came out way before I started listening to it, but
And this is I can hear this. You have a very specific kind of drummer that you're really into.
Tasteful fills, man.
Yeah.
Flashy, but not over the top. Right here, he's totally in the pocket. I know it's an easy beat, but it's just
there's a smoothness that I can see. All the drummers that you're into have the same kind of fluid.
Sure, yeah.
Smooth coming in and out of fills. So I'm starting to recognize.
Yeah, you can hear my style of drumming through this guy. You know what I mean? Just one of those drummers that I really was into. In the band in general, just I don't know. I bought their shirt, wore it out. If that makes sense. It was one of those shirts where I cut the sleeves off and it just turned into nothing after a while.
So this next Exploding Hearts.
This is another phase that I was in.
This band is so ridiculously underrated.
I can rightfully say that this band is in my top 5.
It's overrated and underrated at the same time.
But it's one of those things where you see a lot of people talking about it in the punk scene, but then you have these people that are super into Dinosaur Jr. and the hardcore scene that are in into that are in bands that sound like Basemans and shit. Bands that hardcore kids like. Mm-hmm. And then you have these kids that will randomly post Exploding Hearts and what?
Yeah.
What? That's truly one of my favorite bands, and they have, as far as power pop music, undeniably amazing. Like,
I think
and there's
that
an interesting story about this band too. I don't know if
it's
you
just
know.
they're like somebody died in the band, right?
Well, all of them died except
All
for
of
the
them
lead
died?
guitarist. Yeah, they were so interesting. This is a story that I'm gonna fill you guys in on. I don't know the specifics. I'd have to read into it, but I know that they were driving home. If you've ever done this drive, I've done it a couple times. It's fucking terrifying. They were driving home from like Northern California or like LA, I think, to go home to Portland.
Yeah.
And if you drive through Northern California, in like that rural area, it's fucking terrifying. And I just know that on their way back to play like a home show where they were announcing that they were signed to like a big label. I don't know if it's Dirt Nap or something. I can't remember. Sub Pop, something like that. But anyways, they were driving home, and I apologize if I'm getting this story kind of wrong, but from what I remember, they were driving home, you know, hit one of those crazy curves, rolled off the hill, everyone died. It's kind
They should have been big.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, I wonder what would have happened if they would have announced that,
Yeah.
released another LP,
Yeah.
because this music is, you know, it's done so well. It's written so well, and it gets stuck in my head, and I can listen to it with my windows down.
There was
It's great.
there's a few bands that all kind of came out right around the same time, like that whole like Portland, San Francisco,
Yeah.
Seattle.
This
like,
is the best one.
that whole swath. I think if music hadn't imploded, and so you got
Yeah, this is
the heart attacks.
in
So-
vein of the power pop stuff.
Yeah. Is this the band that became Biters? Or
Yeah.
was related to Biters?
Poison
and stuff?
Arrows and then the Biters.
And the Biters as well. That whole swath of bands, like, I think if the music industry hadn't imploded,
Yeah,
that all of these bands would be huge mega rock stars now.
absolutely.
And, like,
I think the Exploding Hearts would be. I hate saying this because I think that they're such a great band, but I feel like they would have made it to the mainstream.
yeah.
They would have truly like owned it.
But there's no music industry anymore that knows how to do anything with like rock and roll bands.
No one's like, not a lot of people are buying records anymore. That's the other thing, you know.
But I just can't imagine that if you gave them, the $1 million budget,
Yeah.
that they wouldn't be able to make the Exploding Hearts like a fucking Apple TV commercial.
Oh. I mean, I think they even have songs from when they recorded back then that could be on a fucking commercial.
Yeah.
They're just that good, you know.
Like the early Biter stuff is like, how is this not on the radio? How is this
Yeah.
not like, how am I not, listening to this in drive time?
Yeah. So that
Coming up next, the Biters.
Yeah. So like this is a band that I saw at Summerfest because they were on tour with Social Distortion. They were on Hellcat Records, I think. And I don't know what it was about the way that they looked. I mimicked it straight
Yeah.
up. I cut my hair that looked like Rod Stewart. I fucking wore youth large shirts.
Yeah.
Just kind of like mimic the way that they look. So if you ever look at the cover of this record, which is called Hellbound and Heartless, I think, you'll kind of see what they look like. They look like glam rockers.
Yeah, they all look like
Slaughter and the Dogs or something. If you know
They all
who
look like
are.
Nikki Sixx.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm a rock and roll dude, so
Yeah.
like, I hear a good rock and roll band and I'm stoked on it.
Yeah.
And this was like that. It was just a couple years where I was like, man,
Yeah.
like rock and roll might be coming back. This shit's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, this band was like important, I guess, because I saw them. I don't know.
And then it just,
And I just wanted to look like them, and they looked cool. I still think they look cool. I have a bunch of friends now that look like them.
they're beautiful, man. So we were just talking about Biters and this Thin Lizzy, which,
I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this because I know everyone knows I like Thin Lizzy.
dude, Thin Lizzy's so
my
good.
shirt or whatever.
If anybody has any problems with Thin Lizzy, they can go fuck.
The chicks
fuck
dig
off.
Thin Lizzy.
Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. But that's just an inside joke. I don't know if anyone else would know besides a couple of my friends. But this song in particular is interesting. I remember it was either the Berettas, which is my Insurgent Youth. We changed our name, whatever. We played in Chicago at the Chi-Town 77 Clubhouse, which is like it was kind of like a group of friends that, started this. I don't want to call it a gang because it's not a gang, but it was like a conglomerate of friends, and they had this clubhouse. And one of those dudes came up to me, looked like he was in the heart attacks, came up to me and he's like, because I think there's like an iPod there that they were picking from. He's like, yo, let me put on a song real quick. And I was like, me being like fucking shitting my pants, like I'm in this clubhouse, I don't want to touch anything I shouldn't. He puts this song on, and I remember liking, I liked a decent amount of punk music, but he played a classic rock band that sounded like a punk band to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. It was like revolutionary.
Yeah.
And then if you dive into Thin Lizzy, you'll realize how actually badass they were. You know what I mean? And how cool they look, and how much of a genius Phil Lynott is,
I love Thin Lizzy. If anybody has a problem with Thin Lizzy, I will fight them.
Yeah. So I have another person on my team.
Team Thin Lizzy.
Any of my friends that give me shit for it.
Any of your friends who have a problem with Thin Lizzy, they're wrong. So fuck them. Because Thin Lizzy rules.
Like, everyone loves him, man. At least everyone that like all my brother. I could talk about my brother and his bands, but like, obviously they all love Thin Lizzy. Like, it's just a band that everyone loves. I don't know, and I think that you should love.
It's like 80 degrees out. I'm driving in my car. I got the windows down, middle fingers up,
smoking a staunch.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's good. It's good. It's feel good music.
Feel good music for sure.
And
lyrics are genius.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward. Get out of here. But if you dive into their lyrical content, motivational.
Yeah, and he did stuff with Lemmy from Motorhead. So
rest in peace.
It's like the two best
rock in peace,
greasy sounding bass players ever. Like the Lynott bass line.
Yeah. No, they're two bassists, Lemmy and Phil Lynott, legendary, and they're both deceased, which is very unfortunate.
And he played bass on the Johnny Thunders solo record too.
Really?
Yeah.
You just taught me something.
Yeah,
I love Johnny Thunders, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the whole record or just a couple of the songs, but he's awesome. He's on the So Alone record.
Very cool.
Johnny Thunders rules as well.
100%. Oh, this is a vibe change if I've ever seen one. Heard one, I should say. I can see it, but you guys can't. So I'm sure this band means a decent amount to you. I can't say that you're...
So the first Dead to Fall record was really big when we first started doing Didn't That Hurt. And they were tight with the On This Day guys and San Angeles guys. I know Andy's really tight with these dudes now. But I don't think I ever really got to know these dudes as people. So this band exists for me, but I was never like...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wasn't tight with these dudes.
Makes sense. I feel... obviously, it's not for everyone, but... for me, I remember my brother and a couple of our close friends that we used to hang out and party with. They loved this band.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was super punk, but I was like, shit,
Yeah.
can I like this?
Yeah.
So I kind of kept it to myself. And I kind of kept all that other shit to myself. Like what we were talking about earlier, how you kind of keep you act like you're too cool for something, you know what I mean? But then I remember listening to this and being like, fuck, man, I like this.
Yeah.
And I never really admitted it for a couple years after, or for a couple years. But this is just a band that I didn't necessarily super dive into, but I just remember always being around it, and everyone would always talk about it, and they'd talk about Robot Mosh Fest, like my brother and his friends.
So this band was around a lot. So for me, it's like I never got to... I can't separate the music from the people.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fucking awesome.
So for me, I wonder if... okay, I did like this part. This part was pretty...
Oh, that's sick. The fucking dual guitars. The harmonies. I'm a harmony guy. I love harmonies.
Yeah.
Vocal harmonies.
They use the same like harmony as like the first. 'Cause, I mean, this band ripped off plenty of good ideas from At the Gates. But that part reminds me of like the first At the Gates record,
Yeah.
which more people should have ripped off the first At the Gates record.
If you're into any sort of music like this and you don't even entertain At the Gates, I think you're fucking up, truly. Because whether or not a band has breakdowns, most of these fucking riffs that you hear in metalcore nowadays, even I would think are from At the Gates. Like
At the Gates
they're
was
from the '90s, right?
Yeah,
So
So the one record that everybody knows was like
that people who aren't even into metal like.
Yeah. And even when that first came out, like I would say it got popular because people who were not death metal dudes got into it.
Sure, yeah.
Like At the Gates, I don't think wasn't like in the sphere of interest of like death metal dudes. Like they kind of chalked it up as like almost a black metal band, but not quite a black metal band.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that got like the dudes who were calling me a black metal faggot. Who were like,
oh man, that's rough. But yeah, this song, I know it's almost done, but
this ending part, I'm pretty sure that Matt Matera was in this band at this time.
Oh really?
And this sounds super Matt Matera to me.
It's cool.
I would bet money on it that Matt Matera did this part if he was in the band at the time.
I think it sounds awesome. Whatever's going on right now is fucking a great ending to a song.
Yeah. So Matt was in Seven Angels.
Oh yeah.
So if this reminds you of anything from Seven Angels, it's probably Matt Matera.
Oh wow.
Matt Matera was the guy who introduced me to Sunny Day Real Estate, which is where I see this idea coming from.
Yeah.
And that's like we said earlier about
oh yeah, that was fucking bow down, guys. I'm not even gonna try and sound too cool for it, but like I know you were talking about something.
Matt Matera writes Matt Matera parts. That was the gist of what I was getting at.
Right on.
This is the total opposite of Matt Matera parts or Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yeah, I mean I don't know the second band, Sunny Day Real Estate. You said?
You don't know Sunny Day Real Estate?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, you're gonna have to investigate.
I gotta learn.
They're they're. This is. What does that remind me of? Oh, it's gonna kill me. I can't remember. I have a clever reference there, and I can't remember what it was.
But yeah, this is fairly important to me because it's kind of introduced me to the whole like prog metal shit that I got in. Prog metalcore, I should say.
Yeah.
Like the Sumerian record stuff, which I know you absolutely do not fuck with Sumerian records. So yeah, and I don't really fuck with that Ash guy either. But anyways, I'm not gonna sit and talk shit. But this record came out, and I remember, the friends that were super into Dead to Fall and all that my brother and I hung out with, they put this on, or one of my friends put this on in his car, and I was like, how do they make the guitars stop so quickly? Like, what is going on right now? And I just remember like thinking in my head, like, how is the drummer remembering all this in the studio? Because I didn't know anything about
digital trickery. Yeah,
digital trickery and people who actually knew how to play instruments. But yeah, this blew me away when I first heard it. Yeah. Truly, 100%. I'm not even gonna deny it. Full punked out Mitch was like blown away. I don't know. There's nothing else I can really say, but it kind of just like introduced me to like Veil of Maya and After the Burial and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because you'd think I would have been into that stuff first before punk. I don't know. But yeah.
So this is August Burns Red, which is a band that I've heard the name of a million times, and I don't think I've ever even given them a half a second of a chance. So
another good drummer, by the way.
Yeah.
probably one of my favorites. And I can say that because this is another Summerfest band that I saw. I remember, kind of like starting a band with a couple of my friends called Abide By Me. I don't know if that was before. It might have been before we started the band. I can't remember. It's like fucking midnight right now. But yeah, we went to go see this band at Summerfest, and just watching the drummer do this stuff flawlessly.
Yeah.
Again, it was like a drummer impression for me. But also, you can't deny these breakdowns. You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty hard hitting as far as like.
To me, when you say a band that sounds like this played at Summerfest, that's like the hilarious thing to me.
That was a one and done type
Yeah.
deal, I think.
Did they play with somebody else that was?
It was with The Devil Wears Prada and Miss May I, which are like,
That sounds so weird.
yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Two bands that I was into as well.
Yeah.
Miss May I had. It's like all these bands get big because they have good drummers. You know what I mean? I truly think that's a huge contribution.
yeah. I mean, a good drummer can. Yeah.
But this drummer, especially Matt Greiner is his name, he paved the way for a lot of heavy drummers, like
Yeah.
contemporary heavy drummers, if you know what I mean, like bands, like metalcore bands that are like trying to sound like this, because he just has this like originality and he utilizes all of his cymbals. Like, listen to this shit right here.
Are you familiar with Suffocation?
Hold on, I had to let that part hit. That's a pretty good breakdown right there.
So Suffocation has. They were. I smell strains of Suffocation, and this is like the old guy in me speaking.
I'm not too familiar. I know Sean Thompson in Cross Me and the new band that we're starting.
Yeah.
I know he would know.
Yeah.
He's kind of into that stuff.
They were doing a Suffocation blast.
But yeah,
Very specific.
but you
type
hear
of blast.
you hear all the cymbals that he's using, like fucking awesome. I don't know. He's just like utilizing the entire drum set,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't want to make this a drummer podcast, but hold on.
It's already a drummer
Listen. That China, dude. Everyone wanted their China to sound like this, but little do they know, this is really compressed.
Yeah.
You can't unless you have a sound guy like mixing your live show. It's kind of hard to like get that, you know.
China's just are like explosion.
But yeah, this is kind of when I noticed all of the bands coming out. All they were doing is riding on the China like this, and I truly think it's because of this record.
I blame Meshuggah.
Well, that's okay. That's probably why this band writes like crazy time signatures and stuff. But as far as like, I don't know, Christian metalcore and stuff like that, like all those bands. So this is
another one that I have no idea who this is.
So this is kind of a plug. It is a plug. So this is my second band.
Okay.
No, this isn't my second band. So the second band that I was in was called Abide By Me. Mm-hmm. It was a metalcore band, and it kind of happened after, you know, I got super into like Born of Osiris and Veil of Maya and all that shit. But yeah, we kind of started writing music that was similar to those bands.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of my high school years, and I can't deny that. And that's one of those things that like most people would be embarrassed to say, but like if it weren't for Abide By Me and the metalcore days, I wouldn't be as good of a band member or musician or drummer.
Yeah.
It's just I have to give my respects to that, because whether or not people thought it was cool or they thought it was whack, or you know, it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, everyone in the band was doing what they loved and still love, and we were expressing ourselves, you know, in a way that I think people kind of like, they're so closed-minded that they can't express themselves. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm thinking because it's kind of late, but
So there was a thing that I posted earlier this week, saying, you know, don't forget where you came from, and just own it.
yeah.
For me, you know, coming from being a hardcore kid doesn't mean like I'm relegated to, you know, listening to X, Y, and Z band.
Sure.
Like it's about the passion, it's about the ethics. You know,
Absolutely.
It's about
Bridging the gap.
Bridging gaps, right? It's about when you see something that needs to be done, you say, "Fuck it, I'm doing it." You see somebody, reopening the venue that you used to help book shows at, and you go, "Let's find out who these people are, and see what you can do to make it good again."
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people my age who sent me messages over the last couple of weeks since we started putting these shows out, who reminisce about stuff, and they go, "Oh man, like it's cool that they're doing shows at Sherwood again because
I agree.
Shit used to be awesome."
Yeah.
Right?
Me being someone who never saw any quote unquote heavy show at Sherwood Legion Hall, I'm glad to see that I'm able to live it again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Which is
but
awesome.
at the same
Great.
point, it's like I know that I'm at a point now where I don't want to be constantly going like, "Oh, remember how cool I am, or I was, or how cool I used to be."
Sure. Yeah.
That's not the point. The point's not about like telling you about my old band or telling you about how cool things used to be.
Yeah.
The point is about passing on what we did right to you guys.
Yeah, to help us out. That's all it is.
And hopefully getting the people that are from our generation who are still playing music to recognize you guys and help you guys out, to get you guys to pay attention to the people from our generation who are still playing music.
Sure.
Because there gets to a point where like if you're playing at a bar show, everybody comes in and they blow all their money on beer, and you're like standing there with your shirts that used to sell when everybody was 16, and now everybody just spent their beer money, and you can't sell a fucking t-shirt anymore.
Sure, yeah.
And it gets fucking exhausting to play shows like that.
Yeah. So this is,
Misery Signals.
a Milwaukee band that I got into extremely late. I was like when Abide By Me was pretty active. I keep saying this, but just listen to this drummer. Like, Brandon Morgan is a drummer that I looked up to so much, and I don't know if he'd ever hear this podcast, but like, if it weren't for like his originality, I don't think I would be as original as I am. You know what I mean? Because he kind of like, him and his brother, I think, they're both in this band. Him and his brother wrote this like beautiful concoction of like super heavy and epic metalcore. I don't know how to explain it, but like everything was just done so tastefully, and I don't know. I just remember being in Abide By Me and wanting to be Misery Signals. Yeah. Wanting to like leave the impression that Misery Signals left.
Yeah.
Or Seven Angels, Seven Plagues left. Or Wings of Scarlet, or what have you, So I have to give my respects to this band for sure, because I don't know if they still play shows, but
as far as I know, I wasn't super tight with all these dudes. Like, I'm aware of them. We interact, cross paths over time. But I think as soon as Misery Signals started, they were big.
yeah,
Like, Seven Angels was still like they did well in Milwaukee,
sure,
and they did well everywhere, but they were still a Milwaukee band.
yeah.
I don't think Misery Signals was ever like really a Milwaukee band. I think they were like they were from Milwaukee, but
Okay.
they started out
Just hitting the
big.
road.
Like, I don't like they first started out when we were doing a lot of shows, and they were gone so often that I don't think they were really connected to anything that we were doing here.
Yeah, and I watched their documentary that they released recently, and it's just so crazy how, like you say, with shows that you used to book, you said it was like the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure visual. You know how like you kind of can see what we're doing and how it correlates to how you did things back then, and it's just crazy that like in the whatever the documentary that they made, just seeing them touring in a van at like an age that I am right now, it reminds me of when Cross Me first started out, which we'll get to. It's just the same vibe. Everyone's having fun. No one cares where it ends up. It's just people stuck in a van playing music that they wrote, not thinking that they would do anything, you know. So
kind
of a vibe change again.
I did like a preview of the playlist to get familiar with some of the stuff that I wasn't familiar with. And this I hadn't heard, but I enjoy Power Trip because it sounds like the lost Megadeth record.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this specific song, this is before Cross Me released anything. Because at the time I was in Abide By Me, and I was like, I'm gonna start a band with a couple of these guys that I know that, you know, they want me to play hardcore music because they knew that I liked Minor Threat.
Yeah.
You know, they knew me as is like a metalcore kid. You know what I mean? So they're just like, well, we need a drummer. So anyways, we started writing for Cross Me, and I just remember at one point after a practice, we went over to my friend Jimmy's house, who's in Cross Me. You know, he pretty much writes everything. We went over to his mom's house, and he was like, here, check out this Hate 5-6 video. I'm sure you know what Hate 5-6 is. He's like, this is Power Trip playing at This Is Hardcore. And I lost it. I was like, dude, these kids are going nuts. I've never seen a metalcore show look like this ever in my life. Because at that point I was like kind of like, all I knew was like punk rock, like dirty beer on the ground, getting spit in my face, that kind of like pit. And then I knew like the somewhat tame pits that Abide By Me had and the pileups and stuff, but I didn't really think about like stage dives or like people running across the stage or doing front flips off the stage. Like that was so unheard of in like the people's style. Like that's like huge for me, like watching people with style, you know, like actually looking cool doing it. I was like, fuck. But yeah, just like watching this band, like during this part specifically, this is the part where everyone goes fucking nuts. And at the time I didn't know why. I was like, it's not a breakdown, but now I realize it is a breakdown.
This is a case
100%,
where
100%.
This is a case where this is where I talk about you can come up in a scene that has like a formula, but as soon as you like everybody steals ideas from something else.
Sure, yeah. Everyone does. If
you steal ideas that are in the stream that you're in, nobody will care. Nobody will notice.
No.
If you steal ideas that are like completely out of left field, that's an Anthrax mosh. If you steal an Anthrax part and you're a hardcore band, when everybody else is trying to sound like At the Gates or trying to sound it sounds different, and people go, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?"
What
and
is
you're like,
that?
"Literally, I just stole it from Caught in a Mosh. It's cool." Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, if you have a wide array of ideas or a wide array of interests, you have lots of things to steal from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'd love to see you guys steal from Exploding Hearts. That shit would be fucking hilarious. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can steal a transition, you know? You don't have to necessarily know where it came from.
So here's Cross Me. I'm expecting a Exploding Hearts part in this song.
Oh, yeah. Get ready, dude. Singing about sniffing glue and riding the tilt-a-whirl. But yeah, I don't know. This is a kind of underrated Cross Me song, in my opinion. This was the first introduction of our newest, or our current vocalist, because we had a vocal change from the demo in 7-inch to this, which is our Flexi, which is released on Flat Spot Records. I don't know, there's just something about this that kind of like emulates or kind of pays homage to the punk days a little bit, because I do a lot of the street beats and stuff like that, but it also pays homage to Misery Signal style drumming that I, can kind of weirdly intertwine by like putting, more interesting parts into hardcore music rather. You know what I mean? Because like everyone knows, hardcore music is just the,
Well, and I think you come from, like I said earlier, like when Didn't That Hurt was the first iteration of it.
Sure.
I was pretty hostile to young kids, and it was because they didn't have like depth of knowledge.
Sure.
So to me, it's interesting to have somebody who can be versed in like Born of Osiris, but also be able to talk punk rock at the same time.
Yeah.
Because to me, there was no difference.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. Like how I put on that Monorail Central song, like in this playlist. I want there to be shows with old bands. I want there to be shows with Monorail Central and Cross Me together. You know what I mean?
Fucking Cro-Mags.
I don't really need to talk much about this band, but New York hardcore at its finest.
We covered the Cro-Mags in the last episode.
Yeah.
So
Cro-Mags are
batshit crazy and awesome.
batshit crazy. Harley Flanagan, I'm on his side. Sorry, John Joseph. You're totally stealing the limelight. I don't know. This is a song that Cross Me covered, and quite honestly, when we covered it, and it wasn't that long ago, I didn't know it at all. And I remember like playing the show, like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But now I listen to it and I'm like, dude, I need to go punch that Mitch in the face and tell him to fucking play it right, because there's such a specific drumming style that bands would try to do that only the Cro-Mags did. Or like, I know the Bad Brains kind of did it. But there's just something about Mackey's drumming, who's the current drummer of the Cro-Mags. There's a whole feud, if you guys don't know. But, I don't know. This is just a perfect example of a hardcore song.
Yeah.
Group vocals, Pit. It's great.
Them and Murphy's Law. Everybody should check out Murphy's Law. It's Murphy's Law rules.
Truly a band that I never really listened to. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. They're getting into the next playlist. I'm sticking them in there. Murphy's Law rules.
Hell yeah.
So I'm not familiar with the Rival Mob.
So Rival Mob is a band from Boston hardcore. This is...
Everybody from Boston ends up sounding like Slapshot. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. This band has its own entity, I guess. But this is the first band this is crazy. It's the first band I ever staged for.
Yeah.
So that kind of like sticks with me a little bit, because they're a fucking incredible band to see live, and they have all of the energy that you could ever ask for as far as a hardcore band. I've seen them with the Cro-Mags actually in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's like Cro-Mags, Breakdown, Rival Mob, No Tolerance, Spine, Assault USA, I think they were called. But yeah, anyways, amazing show. Rival Mob are a perfect hardcore band in my opinion. And this is a perfect hardcore song. I'm just gonna let you guys listen to this.
This is Terror, by the way.
If you ever want to hear the definition of a hardcore song, I'm going to give you this song through and through. And I don't want anyone to say, oh, there's the Madball and there's fucking so-and-so from New York. No, dude, Terror fucking kills it. Listen to this shit.
Terror is like the Metallica of post-2005 hardcore.
But you can't go wrong with, the repetition in the beginning and then a pit to close it out. Listen to this shit.
That's a fun riff. It is a fun riff. Just
Yeah. I love it. I just like want to listen to it. It's like one of those songs I just want to listen to. I can't even like talk over it. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is Madball. I think this is a perfect hardcore song too. And this was released 10 years prior. There's something about this band that like resonates with me a lot because I don't necessarily know how big they are now, but they made it really big. Like they played like Dynamo 95, I think.
So
with like Machine Head
yeah,
and shit. It was just crazy. It's crazy to watch videos of that because it's like that's a hardcore band playing in front of that many people.
So Madball was like they were on like either Roadrunner or Century Media.
Yeah, I think Roadrunner.
Like, so they had the budget to push them through to do all that stuff, and they were probably like the one New York hardcore band that like could keep it together.
Sure, yeah. And they had some sort of affiliation with Agnostic Front.
Yeah. Like Biohazard was super big.
Well, Biohazard also played that too.
So it's like
another great band.
I like Biohazard.
Yeah. I know you guys kind of touched on it.
Yeah, last week everybody was pretty exhausted by Biohazard.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of, I wasn't going to talk about this, but the band that I was just in that ended, I won't say any names, we covered this song and only like 2 people knew it, but we did have plans to cover Punishment, and I know Tom kind of touched on that on the last podcast, and we were going to cover the entire song.
Yeah.
So that was...
Not just the mosh part.
Yeah. And we did it. We practiced it. We got it down. And I was bummed that we never got to play it. This is a perfect hardcore record. If you ever want to listen to a tough guy hardcore record, as all the punk kids would say, or any other person that doesn't listen to hardcore, if you want to listen to a good tough guy hardcore record, listen to this. I know that sounds cringeworthy. That's pretty cringeworthy of me to say, but this is pretty tough guy, you know? Same with Terror and Madball.
So up until this record came out, I thought Strife was going to be like the big band in hardcore.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this record came out and it like ruined Strife's career. Like the reason that those dudes aren't like,
man,
you know, doing, you know, MTV festivals now is because this record came out. I feel so bad for the Strife guys because of this record. This is like the best Strife record.
Oh man. Okay, so this is kind of random. So you know, Hatebreed, super sick band, but there's always going to be like a soft spot for like other styles of music, you know. Mm-hmm. Obviously we touched on everything that I've ever loved pretty much, and this is Motley Crue isn't a band. This is Motley Crue, by the way. This isn't a band that I could say that I know a lot about at all, but I just remember I work at Vanguard, which is a pretty popular place with all my friends and shit, and in Bayview. And I just remember one of my coworkers walking in, putting this song on, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. What is this? And he's like, oh, this is Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. How do you not know that?
This is fucking Kickstart My Heart. Like, this is like fucking bro metal, or fucking 80s bro metal. Like, but then I hear this and I'm like, wow, they actually wrote like a really good poppy sing-along song, you know, and I love it.
The first Motley Crue record is like a lot more punk rock than their later stuff.
Like the cover of it is pretty.
It's just crotch. It's just Vince Neil's big old crotch.
Big old fucking package. But yeah, like, I don't know. This is a song that I've only been listening to for like a month. But yeah, so if that kind of gives you a little vision on my 80s hair metal. I loved glam. I loved like Hanoi Rocks and stuff like that.
This record reminds me of Drunk Driving with Tim Blesky, the guitar player from Die Alone, from the east side back to his house on 60th and whatever.
Yeah.
Out in West Allis. Just Frank and Kiss and Motley Crue. And
I like Kiss. I like some Kiss for sure.
Tim's beautiful long hair. Tim Blesky, rest in peace, wherever the hell he is.
Man.
No, he's still alive.
Oh.
I think, but he disappeared. He fell off the face of the earth.
Well.
So this is the point in the podcast where I finally say, if anybody sees Tim Blesky, tell him to give me a call.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to that dude in like 10 years. So I miss Tim Blesky. I want to get drunk and drive across the city with him again. It'll be good.
I think there's a lot of people that are going to reconnect with you.
I hope so. You know, it feels
think they
like
should. I feel like you kind of touched on it on the first podcast, how like you might have been a shithead at one point, but that doesn't reflect on who you are now.
no, like
You know, like you're a fucking dad. I'm sitting in your badass like comic book studio riff station. I don't know what you want to call it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
nice little office.
This is I worked my ass off to get to this.
Yeah.
From the Didn't That Hurt house, when we lived on Fratney, we were all paying $200 a month rent. Like, Jesus Christ, if I could pay $200 a month rent right now, I wouldn't even know what to do
Maybe
with
if you had
myself.
other people living with you, paying you,
Yeah,
which is a smart move.
yeah. So,
Buying a house and then having people pay you so you don't have to work.
yeah. Worked their ass off to get out of there.
No, there's a lot of people that work for that.
Yeah.
But
So now I own a house and a car and got a kid and got married and still kicking it.
yeah, and
Still
Nikki
kicking
Sixx
it.
has like 5 houses because of this song.
He's got a lot of houses. And he's I got nothing clever. So
Well,
that's
I think
the
that
end.
was it.
That's the end of the playlist.
I just wanted to send it off on a somewhat random. Yo, what's up? We gotta start the podcast over, guys.
start from the beginning.
So we're gonna do it twice. So if you're not doing anything, stay
So-
tuned.
That's the end of the podcast. Mitch has awesome taste in music. He should listen to more black metal. But other than that,
We'll see.
it's pretty awesome. I think we've pretty much covered everything. I feel pretty exhausted.
Same.
It's after
I'm
midnight.
starting to feel like I don't even exist anymore. I'm just
So
here.
hopefully you guys aren't falling asleep at the end of episode 3. But episode 4 it is getting recorded this Saturday. By the time you hear this, that show will have happened. I'll be wide awake because it'll be 6 o'clock in the afternoon when that show starts.
We're only playing 15 minutes, so don't miss it.
So
10 minutes maybe.
So if you guys are there, if you guys were there, let me know what you thought. And that's the first experiment in trying to get the OGs and the Young Bucks to coexist on the same planet. That's what Didn't That Hurt is all about these days. Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I'm gonna take a nap, get some sleep. How about you?
Yeah. I'm gonna go home and
I'm gonna play some Uno on Facebook Messenger.
This is turning into like a 91.7 radio show where you can tell the guys like
way over it,
just like trying to think of what the next band is, and I don't know. Whatever. Well, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right, later.